Hey everyone, my name is Jenna Wellborn and I'm an account executive here at the Gainesville Times. Today we have with us Judy Paul, who is a real estate agent here in Gainesville. She works with Keller Williams Realty. Judy Paul has a passion for helping seniors and their families with all the real estate goals. Thank you, Judy. We appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you, Jenna, for having me. I appreciate you and the opportunity. Well, as Jenna said, I am a seniors real estate specialist, and I want to talk a little bit today about talking to your senior loved one about transitioning from one living arrangement to another. But before I start with that, I want to let you know how I came to have a passion for seniors. It starts with my story, and my story starts in Maryland. My mom and dad lived in a townhouse, and actually in Maryland they called them row houses. And what that meant was that on the main level of that house was the living room, dining room, kitchen, and a screen-in porch. And there was no bathroom on that main level. The bedrooms were upstairs in one of the bathrooms, and the basement had the laundry room and the second bathroom. And as you can imagine, that's a lot of steps to have to go up and down every single day. And my mom's health started to fade and it became more and more challenging. And my dad and I we thought that, her life and her quality of life could be so much better if she could be in a one-story home. And so that was our goal. Unfortunately, my mom did pass away the week that we were scheduled to close on that one-story home, and they were selling the townhouse. So that was a very stressful time in my life. But fast forward, my dad did move into that one-story home, and he lived there quite comfortably for years. But as time went on, his health started to fade, and he started to fall. And his falls became more frequent, and the calls to me in Georgia became more frequent. You see, my dad was in Maryland and I was in Georgia. And I was an only child, and so it was a very stressful time in my life. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn for answers, and it was just, I have to say, I was a mess. So I was a real estate agent, but I didn't know about how to help seniors. And so I decided that I was going to become a specialist to work with seniors and their families, and so I could help them navigate transitioning from one living arrangement to another. So I wanted to learn how to handle that and how to talk to seniors and make that so much easier for families. And I have a lot of information I want to share with you, and so I am going to use my notes. If that's okay, I'm going to refer to my notes occasionally because I want to make sure that you do get all the information that I have for you. So the thing that I want to talk about is having a conversation with your elderly parent or loved one. Now, when you're listening to what I have to say today, you could be the adult child, and you may be wondering how you're going to talk to your senior parent. Or you could be listening to this and you could be that elderly parent who needs to move into a different living arrangement. So whichever side of the equation that you're on, I hope that you learned something today from the information that I'm going to share with you. So first, it's about the conversation. And I want to encourage everyone to have that conversation with your family member before you're in crisis mode. It's very important because if you have the conversation well in advance and everybody knows exactly how everybody feels, the chances of you making poor decisions are very slim. You'll make good decisions and you'll know exactly how your elderly parent feels about things. The other thing is I want you to think about, I know that it's scary when you think about having a conversation that may be emotionally charged, but really having the conversation is really easier than you think. Just take some planning. So these are the things I want you to remember when you have that conversation. Having the conversation face to face is so much better. Don't have the conversation on the phone. You want to be able to see the other person, and you want them to know that you really care. So those are the things I want you to remember about the conversation. And as you plan this conversation, practice what you're going to say. Think about what that other person may say to you. Emotions run really, really high, or they can run really high. And I'm going to just say that when I was dealing with my dad, I was so emotional. And as the emotions were very high, I just cried. And so I'm going to suggest to you to practice, because that's not a very good thing. You can't get across what you really need to say if you're crying, and that just makes everybody feel uncomfortable. The other thing, some people, when they're having conversations with their elderly loved one, and it's not going well, they're not liking what you have to say. Some people get so emotional that they say things that later they're going to regret. So one of the ways to avoid some of these things is to practice what you're going to say, and think about what the other person may say in response to what you're saying. And then you can have it figured out exactly how you want to handle that. So starting the conversation, how do you get started? Well, the first thing is you want to let them know that you're on their side, that you're really concerned with them. You want to know exactly what they're thinking. So one of the ways that you can share with them your concerns is look around the house. Is the house a mess? Things laying around? You could say to them, I'm really concerned about you're not picking up after yourself like you used to. I'm afraid you're going to trip and hurt yourself. Because falling when you get older is a real possibility. So you really need the area around where you're walking to be safe. And as people get older, it's not important to them to keep the house clean, to pick up after themselves. So that's how you can come at this. You can come at them by saying you're just really concerned about their safety. Another thing is looking in the refrigerator. A lot of times when people get older, they just don't want to be bothered with cooking. And the refrigerator, you might not see a lot of food. And so what you can say to your loved one is that I'm so concerned that you're not getting the nutrition that you need because I don't see any food in the refrigerator. And so they might not feel like cooking. But what you're doing is you're actually talking to them about your concerns. You're not trying to run their life. And the thing is, your elderly loved one may really welcome the opportunity to talk about these things, because there's a good chance that they have fear and anxiety and they just have not talked about it or expressed it to anyone. So you want to let them know that you just really care, and you want to know how they feel about things. And this is the important part. If you get them to talk, or when you get them to talk, listen to what they say. You could ask them questions like, well, if they haven't retired yet, ask them when they think they would like to retire, and what do they want their retirement years to look like? Do they want to play golf because they were busy working and they didn't get an opportunity to play as much golf as they wanted to? Or do they have hobbies that they really had put to the side, but now they can do those things? So what you want to do is talk to them about their life in the future and what they want it to look like. One other thing about the having this conversation is that you really do need everybody in the family involved in that conversation, because oftentimes what happens, people move away from their parents and they live across the country. They could live around the world, as a matter of fact. So you want to make sure that everybody comes together. Everybody's feelings are important. So you want everybody together face to face so that you can talk about and make a plan for your loved one. And having this conversation early on is so much better, because your elderly parent, I know for me, my dad, when we had the conversation, he would just say, you know, I'm not moving and you're not going to put me in a home and forget about me. And that's what people think as they get older. But if you have the conversation early on and you have them part of this conversation and you ask them what they want, who do they want to take care of them if their health starts to fail? And when they start to talk, listen and write these things down. Keep some notes. You may need those notes later to refer back to remember exactly what it was that they said that they wanted. Now the thing is, I help people buy and sell real estate every day, but that doesn't mean that everybody has to sell their house as they get older. People can really age in place quite nicely, but you have to have a house or a living arrangement that works. It has to be safe. So make sure that you have somebody living close by as you get older, and make sure that your house is, well, the steps are a big concern as you get older because there's always the fear of falling. So, but there are companies that can come in and make modifications to your house so that you can really age in place quite nicely. But as you get older, your income, you're going to fixed income. And so what if you need a new roof? What if things start to break around the house, but you just really don't have the money to take care of those things? So it really comes down to finances. So when you have this conversation, finances should be a real big part of that conversation. And so if they want to stay in their house and it's safe that they can stay, there's a product called a reverse mortgage. It used to have, got a bad rap years ago, but it has been improved, and it's really a great way for people to stay in their home and have the money that they need to keep their house maintained in a good, safe way. So I just throw that out to you so that if you do want to stay in your house, but you need some extra money, a reverse mortgage is a good way to do that. It's not for everybody, but I suggest that you do maybe talk to a mortgage lender about that and see if it works for you. And so people ask me sometimes, well, how do I actually get started with this conversation? Because they just won't talk to me about this. Well, as I said before, make sure that they know that you care and that you're on the same, that you care about their future and that you're on the same page. But what I did for my dad is I just actually said, come on, Dad, humor me. Let's go take a look at some of these places. Whether they're going to just move into a smaller house or a retirement community or a facility where they will take more care of you, whether it's a nursing home, independent living, memory care, wherever it is. Some of these places now have waiting lists. So take your parent there and let them take a look at it, because they're pretty nice. And find out exactly how much it costs, what is included. And I know with my dad, he said, I'm not spending that much money, it's just too much money. But when you think about it, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have to pay property taxes, you don't have to worry about maintenance, you don't have to buy food. All of these things are provided for you. So some of that is going to be balanced out financially. But you need to find out what it is. You need to find out how much it costs, and then you need to find out which place works for your loved one. Like in my dad's case, he loved to play pool. And so we found a place that had a pool table right down the hall from where he was going to stay. And so that was a great thing. So they have all kinds of activities for the seniors. So get your loved one involved so that they know that you're not just putting them someplace and forgetting about them, that they really will have fun when they move to that next place. Let me see here. I want to make sure that I have everything covered that I want to cover. When I was talking before about making sure that you get together with the whole family and have this conversation, well, everybody's spread out all over the place. So a holiday is a good time when everybody gets together in the family But just I caution you, don't make the Thanksgiving dinner table the place to bring up this conversation. That's probably not the best thing to do. So you want to pick a place and a time where there's no interruptions and everybody can be focused on exactly what you're talking about. And remember that everybody's feelings are important in the family. The person who lives across the country may have a lot of guilt. They may have a lot of guilt because they're not close and they can't help on a daily basis or a monthly basis because they're so far away. And then the person who lives right down the street from mom and dad, they may feel like that they're doing everything and nobody is helping. So when you have this conversation, let all those feelings get out on the table. Let everybody express them now so that when the time comes, everybody knows exactly how everybody feels. Everybody knows exactly what's expected and what your loved one wants their future to look like. So I'm going to wrap it up now, but I just want to let you know that I'm Judy Paul, and I would love to help your senior transition from one living arrangement to another if that's their desire. I do senior seminars around the county at churches. So if you know of anyone who would like to have more information on one of the senior seminars, I'd be more than happy to do that. They are free of charge. So give me a call if I can help you and your family at all. It's been great talking to you today.